Good afternoon, everyone. Dakota with the Alabama Best Practices Center, bringing you the second episode of Concise Conversations with Kathy and Jackie. So glad you're here with us. Thank you for joining us or joining us again if you were here with us last week. Today we will be having our very special guest, who is Debbie Brooks, principal of Pick Elementary School in Auburn. We are so glad to have her here. And before I kick it over to Kathy, I just want to let y'all know that Stoney is also in the Zoom call. So if you see him, he's not just being quiet on his own. He is watching the comments thread on Facebook. So make sure you drop your questions there and Stoney will bring them into the chat. So with that, I'm going to kick it over to Kathy to give a little bit better introduction to our guest.
Thank you, Dakota. We are so delighted that you have joined us. We started Concise Conversation as a way to connect with our network members, to share information, and also to share good cheer. And we couldn't be happier than to have Debbie Brooks with us today.
I agree, Kathy. It is certainly our pleasure to welcome Debbie, a longtime friend and member of ABPC Networks. And I know Debbie has really led during these very unusual times in ways that have kind of cheered my heart. I know, Debbie, that in particular you have focused on nurturing relationships across your school community. And I would invite you to share with our observers, listeners, if you would, some of the things that you have done in a very intentional way and the manner in which members of your community have responded and what they in turn have done in reciprocal manners.
Okay, Jackie, I'd be happy to. Thank you again for having me on today. It's a pleasure to talk about this with you. When we found out that we were not going to be returning back to school, that was on March the 13th, our school system was already out for spring break. So we were kind of caught off guard. While a lot of school systems were still in school during that time, they were able to quickly get some things in place and send students home. We were kind of at a disadvantage. So we had to work pretty quickly to be very intentional and come up with a plan for making sure that our parents were knowledgeable about what was about to happen. And most of all, I would say our teachers were very concerned about the students and how they were taking this news and how they were going to handle it. So we decided as a school system, once we knew we were going to move to the digital learning platform, in gathering information about which students would need a device and which students would need the work packet. We spent 1 week before the April 6th teach start. We had our teachers get online with our students, and we spent a couple of days that week teaching our students how to do online learning, making it fun, making it engaging. Teachers did some very intentional, Kahoots and scavenger hunts, and our resource teachers did a phenomenal job of jumping online with the homeroom classes so the children could see the PE teacher and the art teacher and the media specialist. And my assistant principal and myself worked very hard to get on all those sessions that first week, just to assure children that everything was going to be okay.
Debbie, it sounds almost like it's the start of school again, because you were creating norms, just helping students feel comfortable with the new normal and the new environment, helping teachers feel comfortable about that. And I love the fact that the number one concern of your teachers was making sure that their students not only felt safe and cared for, but they knew that the students knew that you were there for them.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I know that the quick action, the swift action of everybody, from our state superintendent to our local superintendents down to our schools, was critical. And it was going to be a make or break as to how the rest of this was going to go for these last 7 weeks of school. So making sure, I think in this case, that our parents were confident and comfortable and had the things that they needed because I think for those 2 or 3 weeks in between April 6th and the 13th announcement in March, there was a lot of questions from parents. A lot of them were saying, I don't think I can do this by myself. And so we wanted them to know, we are going to be there for you. We will take the helm as soon as we take over on the 6th, and all we need is your support. So our teachers worked really quickly to teach our parents. So we had parent sessions. We're using WebEx with Auburn City Schools. So we held WebEx sessions with our parents to make sure that they were comfortable with weekly lesson plans that would be sent out, how work was to be accomplished. 1 week before we started, we gathered all the children's supplies from the classroom because, when they left on March the 6th, we thought everybody was coming back. So we had a day for students to pick up their supplies through our car line. We did it in the safe way. We did, each grade level had an hour to drive through the car line and get their supplies. And of course, I'm sure it was scary for children to see their teachers in masks and gloves and just, 6 feet distance apart. But we were able to get all of the supplies to the students. If they needed a device, we got all of that to them. So by the time April 6th rolled around, we were ready to go. And I think everybody was confident by then that we could take over, and the parents just needed to support.
Debbie, I think your reference to trying to develop that comfort and confidence among your parents is so important. I think we're all mindful that there are parents who are more or less comfortable and confident even during normal times, that some parents really aren't comfortable being in schools because perhaps they were not successful when they were there as students. I'm wondering if you had any special plans, any special strategies that you may have used with parents who don't have the confidence perhaps that you or I might have.
Yes, I think each homeroom teacher has done a beautiful job with the whole class sessions, but then offering small group sessions as well. And then all of our teachers are offering office hours on a certain day each week for a certain amount of time. They're online. So if a parent wants to pop in and ask a question about an assignment, or maybe if they didn't understand how to explain something to a student, they could hop on then. But then our teachers knew their students very well and knew their parents. So our teachers have reached out to specific parents that they knew they would need to give more support to with weekly phone calls. We've also made a point as a school, like even myself, to call parents and thank them for the extra efforts that they are making. We have some parents who are still working full-time. We have a lot of parents here in Auburn who are still working at the university and teaching online lessons, or we have parents who work at East Alabama Hospital and are still having to go in every day. So we've specifically reached out to the families that we knew might need that extra support and let them know that we're here. And many of our teachers are doing one-to-one sessions with kids to make sure that they have what they need. And we have teachers that are going to homes and standing out in the driveway just to say hello. We have one teacher that took a whiteboard over to a child's home and explained how to do a math problem right out there in the driveway. I just think so many wonderful stories are coming out of this. That while it's not a great thing that we're having to be in this situation, I think the things that we're seeing coming out of this are worth celebrating.
Debbie, that's so true. And listening to you, I think what you've done is you've helped remove a lot of the uncertainty that all of us are feeling. Parents now know that you're there for them. They know the schedule. They know that they can call on teachers with office hours. Students know that they've got the support of you. Teachers know that you and your central office administration have their back. So thinking about the future, because you just talked about some good things that you're learning, What do you think you might bring forward when we actually when we have the opportunity to have regular school?
Well, I think one of the things that I think we've all learned as a staff about each other is we're all very creative. I think I said earlier something about growth mindset, and I would say that this experience has been growth mindset on steroids, because I am amazed at what I am seeing produced by our teachers, and they are amazing themselves. I think our relationship with technology has changed tremendously. And when I say that, what I mean is I think parents are changing the way they see the way we use technology in school. It's not just a tool for, an app that you might play a game on, but we're using it to produce work, to save work, to create digital portfolios. I think parents are understanding more the instructional processes that go on in the classroom and how that transforms to learning as far as work being completed and then the grading process. And I think now a lot of our parents are going to change some of the questions that they ask about how their child is doing in school, because they're a little more knowledgeable now and more apt to get involved because they feel a little more comfortable with the learning process. So I think we can take away some wonderful things from this, and grow them as we move into the future. And I do foresee the possibility moving forward. And just like we have fire drills, we want children to know what to do when they leave the school for a fire. I do anticipate statewide we might start having an e-learning day like some systems are already doing, so that if something like this happens again, we're all prepared and we have the information we need to implement those kinds of days in emergency situations.
Debbie, I think you make such an interesting point about the different kinds of learning that parents are doing during this time period. Of course, I know, the word abroad is parents are much more appreciative of teachers now that they've stepped into that role. But I think what you said really goes beyond that we, I think, forever have grappled with how do we promote parent engagement and parent involvement and parent understanding of the curriculum. And I think I hear you saying that this has really provided an opportunity for that to happen.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I think this all goes back to some of the things we've done with, PCN and key leaders when we're talking with Ron Berger about student-led conferences and, the digital portfolios and posting target goals and making sure that students know what they're learning. And I think that while we see parent involvement at the school level as, come to our book fair and come see your child sing, I think we're going to find now that parents can be more comfortable coming in and allowing students to have student-led conferences and coming into the schools to see how learning occurs and how that can be supported in the home. So that two-way communication between the home and school, I think the relationship now is on a different level. And I think all schools need to be prepared, moving forward to take this opportunity to seize it and turn it into something really good moving forward.
Debbie, as I listen to you, a theme that I glean is partnership. Partnership with parents, partnership with students, partnerships with teachers, and how that partnership not only has been strengthened, but will inform us in the days to come and when we get back. So I'm very grateful for this time you spent with us.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and then, Debbie, I think just one of the messages too is just because of the flexibility that so many have shown, there's been that opportunity for growth.
Absolutely. Yes. I think as a state, and I'm really proud right now of our profession. I am so proud of teachers across our state. And I think that, the community as a whole is going to see educators in a different way, because we really did swiftly step up to the plate and answer the call.
Well, back to you, Dakota.
What a great conversation. Just wanted to thank Debbie again for being our second guest. Looking forward to next week. We have something a little bit different. We have Taylor Somerville coming to us. And he is the founder of Symmetry, which is a organization that focuses on breathing and how that can help you manage stress. And I think that's especially useful during this time. So again, I wanted to thank Debbie for being with us. Everybody give her a round of applause, virtual applause. Very good, very good. And I wanted to thank you viewers again for tuning in. Tune in again next week at 1 o'clock to see our conversation with Taylor Somerville. Hope y'all have a great weekend. Bye.